Sticky Cross. Hi, my name is Anna, and I'm a singer.
Hi, my name is Peyton, and I'm a dancer.
And today, what are we doing today?
Today, we are back with more Kingdom reactions, and we will be watching episode 8 performances, so more collaborations, some individual group performances.
Yes, this week in Kingdom episode 8, we are continuing with the No Limit Challenge. It is the last of the collaboration stages, so the vocal performances from each of the teams, and then the first 2 performances for the No Limit, individual, each group does their own performance stage thing. So, as always, before we head into those reactions, a few disclaimers to start. So first, same as last week's video, because of the copyright issues that we've had in many of our reactions with getting them blocked and then we have to remove the performances, we have now come to the decision to jump cut the performances in this video. It seems to have worked last week, but we did see in the comments that we got feedback that people wish they could see the full reaction because they didn't get to see one of their favorite parts of the performance. And while we would love to do that too, after our email correspondence with CJE&M, it was made very clear to us that that's not possible unless we want our videos to be blocked again. Yeah, we would love to do that. We can't do that. We're really sorry, but hopefully the reactions that you are seeing are good enough.
Also, I just feel like our commentary is the key point of these videos anyway. Second disclaimer, as always, we don't watch the episode before this, so we don't have any of the rehearsal package, any of the backstory. The stages should speak for themselves. And then once we finish the reaction, we both go back and watch the episodes and all of that behind the scenes stuff. We also won't be stopping the performances while we're reacting. It'll look like it because of the jump cuts, but we do watch it in full from start to finish because that's how they're supposed to be seen. They're designed to be watched as live performances.
Third one, a little bit more serious. We ask, as always, that people are respectful and polite in the comments when talking about the performances. We encourage people to share their thoughts and opinions and what you thought was cool about each stage, but like we always say, these groups are working really hard. They're all doing their best while busy with other schedules too. Let's hype each other up, not bring each other down. And also that goes for being respectful to everyone else in the comments as well. And all the judges and evaluators, MC, all that stuff. People seem to have been doing a pretty good job about it so far in our comments, so we're really thankful. So let's keep that energy up. Yeah. I sound like I'm a MC at a team building event or something.
Let's keep it going, guys. Alright, and then lastly, we'll be watching an episode order, so it will be the iKON vocal unit performance, followed by the Mayfly vocal unit performance, and then we'll be watching iKON do their No Limit stage, and finally it'll be Stray Kids. As always, timestamps in the pinned comment down below. Y'all know the drill. Let's go! Okay, so for the first stage that we'll be watching today, it is the iKON vocal unit, and they'll be doing their rendition of Taeyeon's Spark, Fruity. So excited. And the members of this unit are iKON's Jingwon and June, SF9's Insong and Jaeyoon, and the boys Sangyeon and Yu, Chaechani. And we just want to preface before we go into the reaction that we're going to try to still be vocal with our reactions, but it's a little bit harder for this sort of unit because we want to hear what they're singing. That's the focus of it. So a lot of our reactions might just be oh. So wanted to let y'all know. All right, let's go. Oh, it's the ash and the dust and everything from the fire.
Oh, I like how they did the lighting with one by one. This feels very like those angsty 2000s music videos. It's just the person walking down the street, yeah. Oh, and then now it's darker. Yep. I wonder, is it gonna pick up at any point?
I don't know.
I feel like it's going to, but I'm not sure.
I love it.
Yep. Yeah. Just a little bit though.
Oh, Titani. This is obviously like very vocal focused, but the way they've used the fire and the smoke in the back screens is also like really enhancing the performance.
Now they're finally together because they've just been doing like solo or duo shots.
Ooh,
Nice
circle.
beat change. Whoever did the low note, I really appreciate that. He's not looking at it.
Okay, so my comments are going to be pretty short because this is a vocal performance, so I want to make sure that Anna, our vocalist, our music expert on the channel, has time to do a deeper dive into it like I got to do for the dance round. Just a couple of things that I wanted to say. One, I was super excited that they chose this song. It's my favorite Taeyeon solo title track. And so I was really excited to see like what sort of arrangement they did with it and to hear it sung with 6 different voices. And also I saw on her Instagram story earlier today, I had to like skip past it really fast because she shouted them out, which is super exciting. But like the only slightly vocal related thing that I can even say is just I really enjoyed hearing the different vocal like colors. I don't know the right words for it, but the way that they had blended together and like worked together, because all of the members of this unit to me have really distinct vocal styles, maybe because I just know them really well. I was really excited to see how they work together. Like specifically I was thinking about when Tani and Shune were doing their like harmonies. I was like, oh, I love hearing this. But just a little bit about the performance aspect to it, because while it is a vocal focused performance, there's still performance to it. A lot of that comes through like the way they hold themselves or their gaze. And I just thought that they did a really good job of portraying that sort of like intenseness that you need for the song without it being like too much, and also without verging onto like angry or like dark facial expressions. It literally is like you're portraying that you have that like spark inside of you. And I thought they did a really good job of portraying that, like when you look into their eyes, especially when they're doing their individual walking. So that was really nice. And then just like super quickly, again, like vocal performance, but I said in the reaction like, oh, they're using the screens and like the fire and everything really nicely. And those sorts of elements just enhanced the vocal performance that they were doing because they had been really nicely timed. Like I remember one specific moment where someone's singing the who line and the fire like lit up down the stage behind them, and it just like enhanced a line that you might not have been as focused on. And so I just felt like it really elevated the performance that they were doing. But that's all I can say, so Anna's turn.
Hello, so it's time for my comments on this vocal unit performance. And I just want to start first where, similarly to Peyton last week with the dance performances, I'm going to try to think about how to properly use this time, how to word my comments, like how detailed I want to get versus like general things so that I'm not wasting time. And also how critical I should be. Because, like, this is the vocal unit performance. These are supposed to be the top singers in their respective groups. So I might be a little bit more nitpicky. We'll see what happens. That being said, to start off, I do think that it's interesting the way that they chose to arrange the song. And I'm not just talking about instrumentally. I'm talking about how they divided the parts up, since this was originally a soloist song. I sort of commented on it in the reaction that they're doing a lot of solo shots. A lot of it is just like solo singing, and then they'll switch to a next person every 1 or 2 lines. A pretty substantial amount of the song is just individual singing, and then maybe like one harmonized like little measure in between. So I thought that was an interesting choice because initially when I knew which members and how many members were going to be in this unit, like a few weeks ago when they teased it, I was like, oh, 6 people, that's kind of a lot. They're probably going to have to do a lot of group singing. But there wasn't as much. Not that that's a bad thing, it's just different from what I had initially expected. I'm also coming from a background where like most of the singing that I did was group singing. But I also think that it makes sense because for group singing, that requires blending. And similarly how Peyton talks about dance, when you're dancing with other people, to like match with each other, it requires like some time and a lot of practice with each other to like match styles or like sync up, and that's important for singing as well. It'll take a little bit of time, so it makes more sense because they are on a time crunch that a lot of this was focused on more like solo individual parts. That being said though, when they are singing together, it does sound good. Obviously it sounds good. Like the harmonies that they have, they've learned to blend pretty well, and they do highlight that with like the circle singing moment where they're like all looking inwards. And like that's another thing with singing, like group singing, a lot of times you'll want to look at each other for like that connection. Like, okay, now we're gonna enter at this time, so let's look at each other, breathe together, and then we'll enter. One moment that I really liked was the very beginning intro. I really like how they arranged that because it is like the separate entrances just on the oohs, and the oohs, they rounded them very well. I appreciate rounded vowels like that. I did think that it was a really good choice for them singing the oohs at the beginning. When each person was entering, they sang who. So there's a, instead of a ooh, it's a who to like emphasize their entrance even more, matching with like the lighting changing, and also since it is focused on like individual people again. This comes into my like slightly a쉬워 thing. Besides the intro, the harmonies and group singing only really starts in the second chorus. That's also instrumentally in the arrangement when the song is really starting to build up. So I feel like it not completely drowned out, but overpowered the group singing moments, like the harmonies at some points. So that was a little bit of a shame for me. It made it more difficult to hear and they weren't highlighted as much as they could have been. Although those group singing moments were nice because like they would do harmony and then like one sort of solo person would rise out for like a solo line, and then back to harmony, one solo person rises out. And then the last thing I was going to talk about was, I can't not talk about it because it was in the highlight moment of the song, Insung high note sort of voice crack thing that happened. But I want to use this as a teaching moment for people who might not sing or know vocal technique like that. Insung can sing those notes. He's sung things like that and higher in other SF9 performances, other stages that he's done. Like, he's very capable of doing that, but people do have off days. And also, if you just look at him, you see so much tension in his body. Like, you can see how nervous he is and how his entire body is tensed up. And when you're singing, that's not good. Singing is a very physical thing, and it's also a very mental thing. You can see the tension in his shoulders, which lifts his body up, which is bad for breathing for one thing, because you need to take in a lot of breath for a high note like that that's going to be sustained that long. It's going to fill the air up in like his up here instead, when really it needs to be down here in like his diaphragm area. And also because he's so tense and like risen up like this, he's not as grounded, like standing through the ground and connected. By the way, these things that I'm saying, I'm sure he knows and is aware of. It's just one of those days in a really high tense situation. Also, another thing, because of all that tension and like already the airflow is limited and like it's really tense up here, and you can see his neck is really tense too when like zoom in on his face in the camera shots. And because of that, he was trying to push the note out instead of lifting. And with a high note like that, if you push, it's going to sound strange and it's not going to work the way you want it to. You need to lift sort of the roof of your mouth to explain it in like layman's terms. It is a shame because it's a competition show, but I know that he can do it. It's just the situation. I don't know how to end these comments besides like 수고했어.
Yeah,
진짜.
all of them. All
of them.
Okay, next.
Alright, so now for the second vocal unit performance stage by Team Mayfly. They are doing Love Poem, originally by IU, and the members are BTOB's Eunkwang, Stray Kids Min, and ATEEZ Jongho. Also, just prefacing the reaction, we are going to give reactions as much as we can, but it might be a little bit awkward, or we might just do like oohs, ahs. Since it's a vocal unit, we don't want to like speak over their singing. We want to hear what they're doing. So yeah, that being said, let's go!
Spotlight on BTOB
이사님. Is there black and white filter on it right now?
Yes.
날아가 늦지 않게 홀로 걷는 너의 뒤에 Singing till the end 잠시만 널 위해.
Oh, I didn't think they were gonna come out of the black and white filter.
Oh, that's so pretty. The flower.
Oh.
I want to say something about the way Eunkwang is singing, but I'm gonna save it for my comments. The run riff, oh my gosh. Oh, that was a nice transition. Oh. Sustained instead of just cutting. Oh, there's no light on. There's light on him. Okay.
You see something in the middle. Okay, so in case you are skipping around, just going to preface this comment section again with I'm going to make super quick comments because this is a vocal performance, so I want to make sure that Anna has time to really like dive into it, just like I got to do for the dance round. But just a couple of things. One, this was beautiful. There were times where I felt like I was literally like tearing up at just the emotion that they were portraying through their voices, but also through their performance, because there is performance to vocal performances as well. And a lot of that is like facials and how you're holding your body. And there was just something very like delicate about it, like especially at the beginning when Eunkwang was singing, his body felt more contemplative, like that was the vibe it was giving off. And then you could see Seungmin and Jongho from the side, and they were sort of like not heads down, but sort of like gazing forward, like they were thinking about something, like a story or like a message that they wanted to tell. And that sort of vibe was just kind of felt throughout the whole thing. I also just really loved the way they had used the screen and the floor. The white flower was really beautiful, and with the 3 different flowers on it, but then it changed to yellow at the end after they'd had like the explosion of the yellow light and confetti. It's sort of like the climax of the song. So it was just really beautiful and very emotional, and I was really into the performance. I was just like the whole time. So Anna's turn.
Okay, so for my comments, in case you're skipping around, like Peyton said, I probably will be a little bit more detail-oriented about my comments since these are the representative singers from each group. Let's just dive in, I guess. The 2 teams, ITZY and Mayfly, had very different styles of songs that they chose for the vocal stage. This team, Mayfly, the song that they chose is very much more the style that you typically think of when you're like, oh, we're doing a vocal performance unit stage. And if you look at like any Korean competition show, it's more of like an emotional sort of ballad that grows in the climax, and then it has a sort of like descent fade out ending. It worked very well. Their voices work very beautifully together. And like all 3 of them do have distinct voices, obviously, but at the core, their tones will just naturally blend well with each other. At that point, it's just a matter of like different stylistic ways that you sing with, like if you do one of those like lean in or like the lean out sort of things at the ends of your phrases, and none of them really do too many of those. If they ended a line, it was like a sort of riff or run that they would do instead. A sort of general thing about the arrangement, like it's very beautiful. The original song is very beautiful as well. They did add more elements like guitar intensity for the build up to the climax and like the strings and everything that was happening. Obviously they had their solo singing moments, but they had a lot of group singing moments as well, like a duet here and then a duet with another pair and then all 3 of them together. One way that they did that I really liked was moments when they would sing in unison the same line, and then it would verge off to like a harmony or just like a solo line moment. Those were really memorable to me. Like I'm thinking of in the beginning when Eunkwang does his part, and then it switches to Jongho and Seungmin singing together in unison, and then Jongho goes off and does his solo line. It just makes it more interesting, think like the different groupings of people that they can use. Also, in those moments, the eye contact. Peyton mentioned like performance is still a thing in these kinds of stages, like the way you're holding your body and also just like interacting with the other people on stage. Like I mentioned before, like yes, it's a performance thing, but also like for duet moments or group singing moments, like locking in with each other so that you can breathe together and like feel, especially in an emotional song, like feel those emotions together so you're like on the same wavelength. Now, I mentioned in the reaction of something about like the way that Eunkwang sings. So to clarify that, because I feel like it's very important to clarify that, one thing I really appreciate about Eunkwang singing, like the way he's singing, not just in this, but always, is he's more focused on how the sound comes out, how his voice comes out, than on how he is presenting himself, I guess. Sometimes having the best vowel sound for a word, or having like the jaw, face, shape required to project the sound out as far as possible, especially in like those high notes, is not the typical facial expression that people want K-pop idols to have for their like perfect image. But he's not afraid to do that, and that can be attributed just to like all of his experience and like his professionalism as a singer. Some people might say that it's a little over-exaggerated, but I don't think so. I think he's just like making sure intentionally, like, yes, I know that this is the shape that my mouth and my face, my jaw needs to have for this vowel sound to project it this way. And it also does add to the performance, like he's getting fully engrossed into it. Moving on. Since this is a smaller group, I can talk about each specific person. Now talking about Jungkook specifically, it was interesting to hear his voice on this song since ATEEZ title tracks are very different from this, and the rest of their performances on Kingdom are very different from this. Like the emotion was there, and also the dynamics within one phrase. So like one word specifically would have like a breathy sound, or like it would start here and then like bubble and then go down here. And I really appreciated that, because I'm always talking about dynamics in a song, not just like this line is sung here and then this line is sung here, but like within one word and one phrase, the dynamics, because that also conveys the emotion better. Like, oh, I'm sighing into this. Like, oh, I'm down here now. That sort of thing. And all of them are doing that as well. But yeah, talking about Seungmin now. He also doesn't get to show off singing this kind of style as much, but I really enjoyed like his duet moments that he had. And then also like one solo moment that really sticks out to me is like after the climax and like Eunkwang and Jungkook have done a duet moment, he's like doing the solo moment and like still fully engrossed in the emotions. But one observation that I had, which I thought was interesting, and it's not like a negative comment, it's just something that I noticed, was through his diction, you can tell that he still has braces. And it's not a bad thing. It's just I had never noticed it as much before in like Stray Kids songs, because like there's so many other members, and also they are more rap focused, so his singing lines aren't as long. You can tell because like none of his consonants are super harsh, and it works very well with a song like this because it is like emotional and softer, so a harsh consonant would like potentially break that flow. But also like in his vowels, there's always like a hint of like an or an o to it instead of a full like ah, even when he's singing an ah sound, because like thinking back to singing with braces, and if you go like too tall, it can like get a little painful. It was just an observation that I had, so I just thought it was interesting. I would like to share it with you all. But anyways, this was really beautiful. I'm done now, sorry.
Alright, so now we are back to individual group stages. And first up for their round 3 No Limit performance is iKON, and they will be doing their version of Blackpink's Pretty Savage, which they have named Classy Savage. And as we all know from the teaser, this will be featuring Blackpink's Lisa. Let's go. This is like their first time ever collaborating.
Right? Because YG doesn't let them collaborate. Huh? Oh, nice. That's really cute. Oh, what is this concept? They're just snacking.
Oh,
What is the skit?
I'm also asking what?
Oh, they've entered a different world. It's like Narnia, but jungle.
Jungle because savage. It's got the familiar rhythm, but it's already like iKON style.
Like deeper. They're the
Yeah.
bass difference. Oh, the spears.
Mm.
Oh.
That was a really cool transition though.
Oh. 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 Oh, they changed it. So it's punchier. Oh, is she coming out now? Oh my gosh.
Is she like the queen of the jungle?
Ah, that makes
Ah.
sense. Oh. Oh, 미쳤다. Oh. I'm surprised they didn't censor it.
It wasn't in the lyrics in the corner though.
Oh.
She's so fabulous.
Oh, wait, but they didn't actually interact.
Now they're wearing gold, they're matching her.
Ah.
They just did.
To the flag? What are they on top of?
The male dancers are holding them.
Classic
Here's that,
ending
like-
party moment, yeah. YG style.
It's like a music video.
Oh, I was thinking that too, with the camera working earlier. Is that a remote? They're watching themselves? Did they turn us off? Are we in the TV?
Okay, I'm gonna start with my Ashio comment. Get it out of the way. It's just that, like, they featured Lisa and then they didn't actually interact with her. I was so looking forward to the iKON Lisa dance collab part of this, and I really am disappointed that it wasn't there. But it also, that being said, I know how YG works, and I know that they have rules about keeping their male and female idols apart. Like, even Bobby has talked about this when he guested on Radio Star. So, like, just the fact that they even got to do the collaboration stage is exciting, so I'll live with that. But I'm still disappointed. That being said, fantastic feature. Like, I'm gonna focus most of my comments on iKON, so I'll just get out of the way. Like, Lisa did a fantastic job. Like, totally assumed that Queen Lisa role. I didn't expect any different. Anyways, on to the rest of the stage and all of my comments. Like I said towards the end of the reaction, if it got left in, I'm not sure. This really did feel like a music video. Like, the way that they were shooting it felt like a music video, like the angles that they were coming at and the way that they were interacting with the camera felt very music video like, and then also how they were going back and forth between the scenes and like there would be slight changes to them felt a lot more like a music video than like a linear story where you're changing each scene and you never go back to it. This felt sort of like you were in a setting and you were telling a story in a setting. I felt like I understood what was happening and it was very easy to follow along. So I wasn't having during the performance to sit there and think like, what does this mean? And so you could really focus on the dancing and on the performance, and also their facials were so good. Like always, I really enjoy iKON's facials, but especially in this performance, I was like, they are popping off. But so just quickly to talk a little bit about the dance and how they changed it to feel more like iKON style while still keeping it very recognizably the Blackpink like song. So one thing Anna said, like, it's punchier, and the dance obviously reflects that. Like the Blackpink version, the dance is a little bit more like sensual with attitude, whereas this had a lot more power, which makes sense for the concept they're going for, and also that they're highlighting like masculinity, which is why classy savage rather than like pretty savage. But one direct comparison I can make is on the run. Blackpink is a little bit softer and they like walk through it and their arms don't have as much power behind them, whereas this like iKON was jumping on each beat and they were moving and there was a lot of like oomph behind their movements. But one thing that I thought was really good that really fit that whole like classy savage vibe they were going for was that the dance was a lot more powerful. Like there was a lot of punching, like there was a lot more strength behind their movements. And yes, it was set in a jungle, so that's the whole like savage power, like that sort of thing. But it felt classy because it was very controlled. And there were these little like small details to movement that make it feel, I don't know how to describe it, but like one example is when they do the whoa and they like rock back through their bodies. It's really quick and powerful at the beginning, but then their arm sort of like drags behind and is a little bit softer, and so it like balances it out. And I just felt like they had portrayed this like sort of oxymoron very well through this stage, and I was having a really good time, obviously. So Anna's turn.
Okay, so for my comments, in case you couldn't tell by my reactions when Peyton said her Ashua bit of a shame comment, my bit of a shame comment is also the same. And I also said it in the reaction, I was like, they're not interacting. That was it. So like throughout the whole performance, I was like, okay, well maybe she'll show up in like the ending YG like group party moment. And she didn't, and I was like, oh, okay. I mean, like the stage was still awesome and great, but like, yeah. I also know how YG works. Anyways, moving on. A lot of my comments do overlap with Peyton's in terms of like stuff besides arrangement. Like how it did feel like a music video, like the shots, the camera working, and also how they each seem to not just have their own character, like be embodying a character, but like their own sort of setting, like how music videos do. Each member gets their own set. I mean, talking about the arrangement a little bit, obviously they have like the typical YG dance party at the end, and it really was a party. Like obviously it's choreographed, but like the parts where they're just like jumping around, and also like I was trying to think of a word to describe the feeling of not just that moment, but like their facials throughout, and I felt so silly because the only word that I could think of was savage, and like obviously it is because the song is but it's like that whole like I don't give a attitude, like I'm gonna do whatever I want, and you see that in their actions and in their facials. Back to the arrangement though, I kind of mentioned it in the reaction that overall the bass is a little bit different. Like the original song is pretty grounded, very like synth heavy grounded song, but the bass is like slightly different here, but it fits the more like animalistic like sort of jungle setting that they're using better. I think the most noticeable change that they made in this arrangement is the chorus, because that iconic line, theme that everyone knows when you hear the song, like the whole they changed the first half of it for the chorus, so like it's the punches, and instead of being like more rhythmic and playful like the original line is, it's just hitting every single beat with those punches. And then the second half of the line they still have there, like it comes back in exactly the same, but I just thought it was a really interesting change, obviously to fit the concept more and also just like fit the iKON vibe more. Another slight thing that they did for the concept thing is like sort of a growl roar sound. I really enjoyed this. I really liked the storytelling too. Like the beginning I was kind of confused what was gonna happen, and then honestly midway through the performance as it was happening, I was having just like such a good time watching and being entertained that I had forgotten about the beginning part until the ending when he brought back the remote. Was it Yoonyoung that has the remote? He like clicks it and I was like, wait, we're in the TV? He just turned the remote at us? I need to know what the truth is, so maybe I'll learn in the episode. That's all I have to say. Next! Alright, so last performance for this week's episode was Stray Kids doing their No Limit Challenge performance, and they also included a Blackpink song. This is a mix of Shin Menu, God's Menu, and Tldr Tldr by Blackpink. The title that they chose for this performance is Shin Tldr Tldr, so pretty straightforward. Let's go!
Oh my god, it's Deadpool.
Oh, this stage is gonna be so, like, interesting with their facials then. Flixie.
I just wanna. Oh. Okay.
Oh my god!
How are you? Well, I'm fine, thank you. Today,
Yes, break the wall. It's like a rice
Is
cooker.
that a rice cooker?
Oh my god, it is!
It's literally a rice cooker!
Oh, the horns.
Oh, the comics in the back.
Oh my goodness, his hat. The stomp stomp claps.
Subways are really great for making, like, choreography.
Because there's so much to interact and play around with.
Yeah. Oh! Oh.
That is such a Deadpool expression. Are those supposed to be like laser?
Ooh.
Yeah, they made it very rock. I still can't believe they
they're
chose
referencing.
Deadpool. Huh? They're referencing what?
It passed.
Oh, dang it.
I love that they're holding guns for that moment.
Oh, this bass is so distorted.
Oh,
Oh?
you're still here? I know, right? The performance is.
Oh my god!
Oh, this?
JYP pop!
That guy. But with this.
Oh,
look
it's,
at it,
wait,
blow
I
this
can't read
place
it.
up.
Dang
You
it.
Felix Lee!
His baby.
Mm.
Oh. There's a lot.
That was awesome. Okay, so first of all, I loved this. I'm gonna say one of my favorite things about it, and it has to do with the storytelling and the concept that they chose, and it's probably gonna overlap with something Anna wanted to say, so she's gonna get mad that I stole her comment, but we have the same brain and I know that she's excited about this too. The benefits of going first, everyone. First of all, the storytelling was so clear, from the way that they broke the fourth wall and they had really kept in those like iconic Deadpool things, also referencing the comics in the back, like especially while Changbin was rapping. So all of that was very on brand for the Deadpool theme, but also just Deadpool in general. Like it fits Stray Kids so well because it shows two things that they are very good at, because Stray Kids is known for doing these like harder concepts and like they do it super well, but also they're really good at doing sillier things, and they've been doing sillier things since before they debuted, like in their survival show, or like they have Get Cool, they have Awkward Silence. Like they're good at those more like comical facials and performances as well, and this really combines both of those because Deadpool's like anti-hero comic, like fighting, but also is like super sarcastic and really goofy. It was the perfect concept for them to choose for this. Along those same lines, their facials were so good. And one moment that really stuck out to me that was just so comical and so like on brand for the Deadpool concept was when Lino is like surrounded by the guns and then he's like But yeah, I'll stop talking about that and move on to choreography. So, a couple of things about the choreography. One thing that I enjoyed, obviously, they had kept elements of the doo-doo-doo-doo choreography, still very noticeably, but they were doing it in a very Stray Kids way. And so one obvious change that happened recurringly throughout was on the do-do-do-do-do, and usually in the original song what Blackpink does is they sort of like circle around and they have like they're like bouncing and riding the beat, and Stray Kids kept this in like very clearly throughout the whole thing, but then afterwards is what changed. But they still reference that like original feeling of something more like circular and sort of like riding the rhythm, and you can see it really clearly towards the beginning when Mino's in the front, and they're actually doing like body circle forward instead, and so it's a little bit more like aggressive, which fits with the whole like Deadpool superhero thing, but it's keeping that same sort of like original intent behind the choreography, so I really liked that. And then something else about like the whole choreography that I enjoyed that I wanted to talk about, and it would have taken too long to explain during the reaction, it was the way that the choreography was not kept specific to the songs that it was originally meant for. Like they mixed and matched it, and they like mashed their choreographies up, which makes it feel less like doing a cover and more than like they've taken it and made it their own. I'm just gonna keep talking about Mino apparently. A couple of specific moments that stuck out. One was in the second verse when Mino was singing part of the doo-doo-doo song, but he was doing God's Menu choreography, like very noticeably God's Menu choreography. It's originally from the pre-chorus build-up that they do in God's Menu while singing something from the other song, and they've like changed the beats and everything so it fits better, but that was super noticeable. The chorus is also a noticeable one where instead of having it like specifically for the song, they've actually taken the two choruses and mashed them together. So very, very much doing this song in Stray Kids style. I talked about the concept for so long that I ran out of time. Okay, so really, really quickly, the stage pictures were so good. And I mentioned like subways make for super interesting stage pictures because like Anna said, like there's a lot to interact with, so you can do a lot of different things and there's a lot of movement. And then the ending obviously is a great stage picture, but the rice cooker was my favorite one because that also felt so on brand because it's like something kind of silly, so it's like very Deadpool, but also like God's Menu. It was like chef themed originally, so I really enjoyed this. Anna's turn.
Hello, so for my comments, Peyton is correct. I am a little bit salty that her comments overlap with mine when it comes to concept, because I have been telling Peyton since like first round, or like, I don't know, very early on in Kingdom, I was like, you know, I really hope Stray Kids does like a more personality driven performance. So she knew I was gonna comment on it because they're really good at stuff like that. And like Peyton said, this is like the Deadpool was perfect for this, perfect for them because of their strengths. Because like obviously it's like still hard and intense, but they could have fun with it. And you can see like even the facials that they're doing, like in my mind, I'm just thinking of this like one group moment, partial group moment, dancing together, and they like do ad-lib like whoop all together. I think it's Chisong that like looks to the side at the person next to him and just like does a cheeky little smile, and I was like, you guys are having such a good time on stage. I'm so happy. This is so great. Talking about the songs that they chose, obviously people are gonna know that they chose Shin Menu, God's Menu, and Duru Duru because of the do-do-doos. But I thought it was really funny because like in real life, whenever I sing it in my head too, or like out loud, I'll accidentally mix the two. I'll go like do-do-do-do-do-do. So it's perfect. But this arrangement specifically, it was mostly the Blackpink doo-doo-doo with hints of God's Menu, which like makes more sense because they've already done God's Menu in like previous performance for Kingdom. Obviously, it sounds very different from the Blackpink version, much more like heavy, intense, grounded. I said that they referenced rock in this arrangement, and it's also like just very grungy. You hear it in like the very, very deep distorted bass, like the distortion in the bass synth that you hear. I think at one point I was like, it makes you feel like it's flat, like off pitch the way that it's hitting, but it's because of that distortion, which also like puts you on edge because like something's about to happen. And then also like there's just a lot of electric guitar in it, like the little riffs and like lines that they have, and also like the additional raps that they added for like Changbin, Han, Jisung. I feel weird calling him Han. That was weird. Sorry, I literally just can't get over this concept. I love the concept so much. Oh, the little interjections, by the way. We were wondering what Chan did in the middle. The little bubbles were just like a Korean translation of what he was saying in English. That leads into the ending of the performance, where it's just like this huge... He says that they're gonna blow this place up, and then kind of just really did with the fireworks and the arrangement, and I'm pretty sure in the reaction I just like went completely silent and wide-eyed, so it's kind of overwhelming, but that's the point. But like in a good
was
way.
The point? Yeah.
That's the point. I think I'm gonna stop there because I think I'm just kind of rambling and I'm still like very on a high after watching this. But yeah, okay, I'll stop.
It's your turn to TLDR.
Oh shoot, it's my turn to TLDR. So TLDR for this video is we reacted to the performances that were on Kingdom episode 8, the last of the collaboration stages between Team iKON and Team Mayfly, and the beginning of the individual group No Limit stages for iKON and Stray Kids. And wow, I don't know what to say besides wow. We're really excited to see what next week brings based on the teasers that we've been seeing too. So, yeah.
Alright, but that being said, y'all know the drill. Let us know in the comments what you liked, if you agree with us, if you disagree with us. But please remember, be respectful to the groups. They're all working really, really hard. Their staffs are working really, really hard. Changbin's working really, really hard. Everyone's working really, really hard. So we're gonna be respectful. We're gonna uplift everyone. And we're gonna be respectful to each other in the comments as well. But yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.